if you've been looking at conspiracies, was there any conspiracy that you felt had a hint of truth about it? And interestingly, there's two. I want to set up a department for conspiracies, a ministry for conspiracies, and I want to hire all the people that I think do a lot of damage, people that I actually don't think even believe in the conspiracies deep down,
yes,
who are just doing it because they've realised they're on a grift. Mark Dolan, I'm afraid, will not make the cut. Too stupid. But I will put Right Said Fred in, David Icke, Katie Hopkins,
Russell Brand.
Russell Brand, 100%, Alex Jones, all these kind of grifters that are making their money out of this kind of stuff.
Katie Hopkins is an interesting one because I've worked with Katie Hopkins kind of right wing nut job stuff.
Then I am going to strip you of your passport tomorrow morning.
We did Big Brother's bit on the side together, so it wasn't my choice.
Okay, well that's interesting.
And she was delightful.
Isn't that interesting? Because I would say...
And it was all very much like, I've got to make my notes and work out what I'm going to say to be a bitch.
But can I be honest? I think that makes it worse.
Yes, 100%.
Because a lot of people say this, and I have met several people, one of which you work for, political expert, but I'm not going to bring her up. But people who actually, when you meet them, are, nice, fine, good to chat to. And that makes it, to me, even more pernicious that they then go off, spout these really awful views that make vulnerable people more vulnerable, that they're grifting off people. Yeah. I think that's wrong. It really is.
You look at the January the 6th stuff at Fox News. They all knew.
Well, we all knew they knew.
And it's
I did, yeah.
Madness.
Of course, it's not madness. It's cold-hearted, calculated capitalism. And that's fine. They want to make their money. But it's just what I find extraordinary. We're in this state now where people in America are voting for... I can understand why people are dispossessed politically. I can understand why they feel alienated from politics. But you got to a state where people in West Virginia, coal miners in West Virginia, who can barely hold on to their last tooth, are basically voting for Donald Trump to get rid of the elite. People in England are voting... well, they're not voting, luckily, but are supporting Nigel Farage as somehow railing against the elite. These people are the elites.
Yep.
I mean, this is what's insane.
Nigel Farage can work in the department as well, actually. He's a grifter.
Can I get back to the department? Because my cunning plan is I'm going to set up this department and I'm going to tell them, hoping they'll buy into it, that because they're such an important conspiracy department with a lot of people trying to get at them, we're going to put it somewhere isolated. It's going to be a secret department.
Great.
Maybe on an isolated Hebridean island, something like that, where we can get them really so they can't be hacked into by the evil lefties.
Or better, even more underground, so we can call it the very deep state department.
Do you know what? I like that. I like that very much. Okay, yes, so what we'll do is we're going to go on to the most extreme island, obscure island we can find, and then we're going to dig down. So we'll be on a very, very deep state on an island away from the mainland of normality, and we're going to say to them, right, get to work. We need to know everything about your thoughts and stuff, and then literally we're just going to cut off all access to the island.
Great.
No electric, no internet. It was my feeling with Big Brother early on. I just thought... two things you can do with Big Brother. You either wander up, and when no one's looking, you hurl over 10 tabs of LSD and a handgun, then you've got a show. or you just turn off all the cameras, you don't film them at all, and finally, when they break out of hunger and thirst, you've put up posters in Chinese, and you just have Chinese guards with AK-47s, and they think something terrible's happened. Basically, I want to isolate them.
Yep.
I want to COVID them.
Yep.
So let's just put them there, get them to work, and then maybe in 100 years... maybe we can send Mark Dolan in to do an interesting show on what they've all been up to. How's that?
Sounds fantastic.
Good.
Okay, I think we can make that happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you...
My phone's going crazy.
I'm going to ask you,
I've never
Lorin.
had so many messages since I've
Really?
been Prime Minister,
What?
yeah.
Are you being cancelled right now or
No,
something?
I think I just did a runner from Pizza Express, and I think I left my address, which is a bit of a problem. But anyway, we'll get there.
That's all right. It's easy to find, isn't it? 10 Downing Street.
Yes, that's right.
Very easy.
That's where I am right now.
Lorin, has any government had a conspiracy department before? Is this a common thing?
They have.
Well, there's been a big declassification of a lot of UFO files recently.
Really?
Yeah, which NASA sort of declassified.
Did
the
you
US
get into that
government
when you were doing research for your book?
It's one of the things I'm asked the most is like, if you've been looking at conspiracies, was there any conspiracy that you felt had a hint of truth about it? And interestingly, there's two. One is, weirdly, COVID. The idea that, much as I hate this cult of anti-COVID and maskers and stuff, but the idea that COVID started in a wet market from a bat, something like 100 meters from the largest laboratory dealing with coronaviruses in China, seems just so improbable. And it seems so likely that there was some sort of leak from the lab, not on purpose, and then the Chinese government hushed it up. The problem was that Donald Trump immediately launched in with his kung flu racist stuff. And because we live in this footballified world, you either think, well, I'm either with Trump or I'm not. And so I decided, well, you, Trump, I'm not. So I think that's some truth. But the UFO thing is really interesting because actually there was a big New York Times article, front page, saying that the Pentagon, I think, had set up a department to look into UFOs. They're now called UAPs, actually, not UFOs. But the point is, there's no question that there's a lot of not nutters, because my point is, like, really, if aliens are landing on this Earth, why are they spending so much time anally probing toothless rednecks? Why are they not just landing outside
and why not the
United Nations or talking to me? But there's a difference between UFOs or UAPs and little grey men. There's definitely weird stuff flying around we don't know about.
Yeah.
But there's a big jump from that to little green men, and I don't know what
I think. So it's not also the only time that the US government has sort of leaned into conspiracism. So the US Search and Rescue Coast Guard actually has a flash on their uniform, some of them, of Elvis with the slogan, "If he's out there, we'll find him."
Oh, but that's funny.
It's funny, but it's also, you can see like them embracing it and leaning into it.
Yes, but in a funny way, if you were a conspiracist, and I've hung out with these people, they would see that as a false flag.
Really?
Which is the thing I hate, which is like them saying, saying, oh, we're open to it, but making something so clearly ridiculous that it makes you feel ridiculous. And that's what UFOs were about. It became, if you're a serious scientist looking into UFOs, you were kind of laughed at by the scientific community. Now, part of me feels, rightly so, but there's a part of me thinking, well, actually, this is a thing that has been documented so much by people. There should be space for people to look into it.
We should be having a look at it.
We should be having
at the very least.
A little look at it.
And also, there are occasions where we have to say, like, this is where the grain of truth in the conspiracy comes from, where they have been right. So, like, for example, I know a lot of conspiracies like to cite the Tuskegee experiments, which is a pretty horrific case of what was happening in America to sort of, experimentations on people.
Yeah. But that's interesting, because then you have the definition of what is a conspiracy, because you can have malpractice or bad behavior by governments. You can have governments, frankly, just keeping secrets, which is what governments do. There's a difference between that. We're all conspiratorial. We're being a bit conspiratorial here against Mark Dolan, and I think that's fine. But that's just life, isn't it? We're just normal.
Yeah.
Are you a friend of Mark Dolan's? Because you're not anymore.
That sounds like a euphemism for being right wing.
That should be the new thing. Are you a friend of Dolan? I'm going to use that now. That's really nice. Dorothy Dolan would be a great name for his wife if he had one, which I don't think he has. Does he?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't care.
Maybe
I'm happy if he does, or a husband.
I saw a quite disconcerting video of him being spanked by Michael Fabricant MP.
Jesus Christ. You definitely worked in Parliament. I can see that.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that makes you come now. That's how you know you worked in Parliament.
Did you just say come?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this over now?
That's over.
It's banned.
As Prime Minister, that's banned, yeah. I'm a very anti-low-hanging fruit administration.
Okay, fine. We'll see.
I'm in the wrong one then.
So look, I think this is going to be a very interesting new department, your conspiracy department, and it's just going to rid us of some problems.
In a way, I want to run the conspiracy department in the same way that any self-respecting government deals with any real problem, which is to set up an inquiry, announce that it will reveal its findings in 30, 40 years, when most of them are either dead or in the House of Lords, and crack on. And that's what I want. I'm like, we think you have some interesting ideas, conspiracy people, so go to this island, take the lift down to the, let's say, the 17th floor underground into the deep state, and really get to work, and we'll all be waiting for your findings in 40 years' time.